So I want to show you an update for kind of where I'm at on this thing, just for funsies. But there's a kind of a long-running engineering problem I've been facing. So like, this is the scissor lift. You can turn this axle down here to move it up and down. You can see there's like a carrier. It's that thing with the letter L on top of it. And it rides the screw thread, so when you turn it, it moves forward and backwards. But kind of the problem is when it gets to the end, like this is the end, it won't go any further. It stops, but the motor would be turning this axle. It's disconnected right now. It's actually in a heap over there. Doesn't know it needs to stop, so it just keeps going, and it kind of grinds, and it can actually break this thing. I did break part of the motor by running it too far. So there's no way to prevent that, and especially if I give it to somebody else, and they're just moving the scissor lift up and down. I don't want that to break the thing. I didn't really know how to solve that until recently, when I tested something and it actually worked really well. So I have a solution now. This one, you can see I had to cut the scissor lift off. It's just chopped off here. I chopped it off with those cutters there. So I have to maybe reprint some parts and glue it back on. But anyway, I got it kind of stripped down. You can see, if it'll focus, this carriage here, that's riding the screws. You can see at this end the threads don't go all the way to the end. And also here the threads don't cover this part. So when the carriage rides far enough, it's not on the threads anymore. And so when this keeps turning, it's off the threads, so this can keep turning forever. And that's no problem, it doesn't break, it just keeps turning and it's fine. And then the springs on there make it so when it turns the other way, it pushes it back onto the threads, and it keeps going. So this actually works pretty well. And I've got this in stop thing to stop it at the other end. And you go all the way this way. Doesn't click it satisfyingly on this end. But it can just keep turning and turning and turning, and it's just going to be happy sitting there at the end. And then you turn it the other way, and yeah, springs push it back onto the thread. So that works really well. So I've got to just rebuild the upper part of the scissor lift. I'm going to go buy some acetone. Actually, I forgot it at the store yesterday, to see if I can dissolve some of the super glue so I can salvage these parts, because there's a lot of glue holding parts of this together, and if I can dissolve some of the glue bonds, I can salvage a lot of those parts, so I don't have to print them again. And it's not really a big deal if I do. And some of the new parts for this, like the new carriage, I had to redesign this in stop a little bit, and you know, some of the pins for it. So I printed out a set of those, so these are ready to be reinstalled on the other three. I have to cut these off, give them this treatment. You can see the carriages are actually printed in two parts, and I glue them together back to back, so that's two halves for each of the three carriages. Man, this one really doesn't like focusing today. There it goes. And yeah, so I figured that out. I've got to reprint a few parts for this motor over here. It's a big tangly mess. I just pulled the electronics off it, and it looks a lot simpler. I think some of the gears have to be reprinted. The axles like got crunched and bound up when this went too far. But yeah, actually making progress. Oh, progress on this puzzle too. Me and Ash have been working on it.